we have a new and exciting announcement for Justice Democrats. Now, to this point, we have one incumbent in Congress. And I think it's fair to say that at this point, he's a superstar. He's now become the ideas congressman in the Democratic Party, where he's leading on a lot of this stuff. In the same way that people say about, and it's hilarious that they say this because this guy's a dunce, but they say Paul Ryan is the ideas man in the Republican Party. Well, Ro Khanna is the ideas person in the Democratic Party, and Ro's ideas are actually good. Rand Paul is just taking old, recycled Ayn Rand talking points, pretending they make sense, and throwing them out there like he's a genius. So Ro's become a bit of a superstar. We've covered 1,000 segments about how much he's fighting on all the issues that matter to people on the populist left. Well, now we're adding another person who I think is amazing. I'm talking about Representative Raul Grijalva. He's now officially a Justice Democrat. And let me tell you about some of the things he's been fighting on. So Raul Grijalva co-sponsored H.R. 676, which is Medicare for All. So he's been fighting for Medicare for All. He co-sponsored H.R. 1880 to make public college tuition free. Fighting for Medicare for All, fighting for free college, been fighting on this stuff all along. He's a co-sponsor of H.R. 16 to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So he's been on the front lines of fighting for a living wage. He introduced H.R. 3227 that eliminates private prisons. He's been fighting to eliminate private prisons. And by the way, isn't it amazing that you have a guy who's been doing all these amazing things? The media they don't have anything to say about Raul Grijalva. They don't have anything to say. They don't write articles about, Raul Grijalva, look at the polls. He's fighting for things that the American people believe in. It's right there in the numbers. They don't say anything about him. He also co-sponsored H.R. 1144, which is to add a Wall Street speculation tax. And then one of my favorite things about his record is, listen to this, because this is almost like the hallmark of what would be a populist grassroots Democrat versus an establishment Democrat. He voted no on free trade with Peru, no on CAFTA, no on implementing U.S.-Australia free trade agreement, no on implementing U.S.-Singapore free trade agreement, no on implementing free trade agreement with Chile. So now, on those issues, the free trade agreements, corporate Democrats will vote for those. But Raul Grijalva is not voting for them because he knows, so you want to outsource more American jobs. That's what your free trade agreement is for. That's you doing the bidding of corporations as you pretend like you're not, and you dress it up with flowery language. Instead of calling it the, Outsourcing Act of 2005, you call it the free trade agreement with Singapore. Free trade. Oh, you're against free trade? I guess you're against freedom. No, you're doing the bidding of corporations and you're outsourcing American jobs. This is economic populism. This is real economic populism. Donald Trump spoke against TPP on the campaign trail, but then when he got in office, now he's slipping in the worst provisions of TPP to the renegotiation of NAFTA. He outsourced his own jobs, Donald Trump did. He's a fake populist. You know what a real populist is? Somebody who votes against these outsourcing deals, and that's what Raul Grijalva has done his entire career. So, look at this. We have a guy who's been pushing for Medicare for All and free college and a living wage and ending private prisons and taxing Wall Street, and he's against the outsourcing deals. And he's a superstar, and nobody talks about him. And listen, I've said this all along. Over at Justice Democrats, we don't even want that many incumbents because Congress has an approval rating of like fucking 12%. They are the swamp. We're not interested in the swamp, okay? But every now and then you stumble across somebody and you go, oh shit, look at this one. These people are Justice Democrats before Justice Democrats officially had a wing of the Democratic Party. So when we come across people like that, we go, welcome. Welcome. You're voting the right way, and we want you to know we back you, and they back us, and they agree with our platform. And for those of you who haven't read our platform, go to justicedemocrats.com/platform, and you'll see what all of our candidates are fighting for, what they all stand for. So I want to give you one more fact on Raul Grijalva here, because this is amazing. I think you guys will like this one. There's a website called govtrack.us, and they do an analysis where they take the votes of different politicians, and they say, where do they fall on the spectrum? So they have a big old spectrum, and they'll put, the dots where each of the politicians fall on the spectrum. Raul Grijalva is ranked as literally one of the furthest left congresspeople in the country. He's tied with Barbara Lee. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Barbara Lee, by the way, was the one brave vote against the war on terror in the midst of the country being hysterical post 9/11. She's the one person who said, no, there's going to be endless war, and there's a terrible idea, and it's going to waste money, and it's going to waste lives. It'll probably create more terrorists. That's Barbara Lee. Well, Raul Grijalva is as left-wing as she is. And he's been a staunch opponent of the war on terror as well. He's been massively economically populist. So very happy to have Raul Grijalva with us. And by the way, he's one of the people who's leading. I just spoke about how Justice Democrats are doing a petition to force the Democratic Party to grow a spine when it comes to this Republican tax bill. And Democratic politicians have to say, listen, we're not going to vote for any Republican tax bill that doesn't protect net neutrality, protect Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid from cuts, and protect the DREAM Act. So we're forcing Democrats to abide by the 60% rule. You won't vote for any bill that doesn't include these provisions that are 60% or more popular with the American people. You know who's leading on that front? Raul Grijalva. Raul Grijalva is one of the leaders on this front, and he's saying, that's right, I'm not interested. Unless you want to do these three things, which are no fucking brainers, I'm not interested in your shitty tax bill. Under no circumstance, unless it includes these three things, will I even consider voting for it. That's what we need. We need more of that. We need Democrats with a spine, Democrats with a vision, Democrats who aren't afraid to make that case. Because, by the way, that's the way you guarantee Democrats win, is to have Democrats who have a positive vision, who believe in something. And that's why we're incredibly happy to welcome Raul Grijalva along with Representative Khanna. Raul Grijalva is now the second incumbent Justice Democrats, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to crush the corporate Democrats and the Republicans.